Welcome to No More Rules, the impact of being you, no matter what. A movement to awaken your inner power and be the creator of your own healthy life. With hosts Steph Yost and Camille Barreto, where clean eating is at the core of our inner growth by honoring our body and health. They will help shift perceptions, encourage thinking outside the box, and overcoming limiting behaviors and beliefs. You are worthy of living your best life, developing your inner power with clean eating and healthy lifestyle, and discovering your awesomeness. No More Rules starts now.
Hey everybody, welcome. I am Dr. Pat, and just so you know, I get to take this ride one more time. And it's most likely the last time, so it's kind of bittersweet, but I get to really take the journey about No More Rules with two amazing women, Steph Yost and Camille Barreto. And this show is about the impact of being you no matter what. And this episode today is all about that. It's really interesting what they both came up with to talk about, because I was reading the title of today's episode and it was People Treat You Exactly How They Feel About You. How do you treat yourself? And what's hidden in there, there's a little couple of secrets hidden in there. There's some secrets in there, because this is the thing that the law of attraction and the movie The Secret completely left out. They left this out. They left this part out. And this is the part that if they would have done this, or these two women would have been part of that, they would have talked about this and said, no bleeping way can you manifest if you don't clean this up. There's no way. There's no way you're going to, the plants won't grow. You're going to overcook the meatloaf, whatever that is for you. That's what's going to happen. Today, you're going to take a dive into it, and you're going to see from their perspective how they work with people, countless people, to help them understand what the impact of who they are and what they do is all about. You know, for those of you, you already know this, you know what they do. You know that Camille is an amazing wellness coach. You know, she is helping people with self-growth, continuing expanding. She is the one that was, you know, showing up here to say, I am going to change my life despite the things that are coming apart, falling apart. I'm going to show up and I'm going to do me. And part of doing me is to get myself educated and then now to help people with what I've learned. And that's what's kind of cool about that. When you look at Steph, you know, owner director of Impact Wellness, a passionate, you know, this is about clean eating, but it's much more than that. Otherwise, she wouldn't be doing a show called No More Rules. See, it's much more than that for both of them. You see, because if it was just about that, then it would be just about that. This would not be about No More Rules. And No More Rules is about the impact of being you. Today, get ready to peel that onion way apart. You got to look at this, because if we're not looking at this, you're not going to understand the story of your life that you're telling yourself and that other people are now telling about you, because that's what you're telling. Welcome to your show.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's talk about this, about how you feel about yourself. I want to hear from each of you about this before we get into, you know, the nitty gritty. But this idea of how you feel about yourself, how did it show up for each of you, and what did you have to discover and change for yourselves? Steph, why don't you go first?
How I feel about myself. It's definitely changed over the years as you become more self-aware and all the experiences in life that make you who you are, that you realize, you know what, I am fantastic, even though other people may not treat me that way. And Camille has shown me that over and over, that, you know, obviously you have to love yourself first before you have enough to give to other people. But going through life experiences of getting divorced, raising kids, parents being ill, all these things is just really molding you to, is like, I have to take care of myself first so I can be the best for all of those different roles that I play. As an employer, as a mother, as of all the roles I play, but just loving myself and taking really good care of myself is super important.
Camille?
I would say the past me, highly insecure, super concerned about what everybody else thought. As you know from the past episode, people pleaser. I had no clue who I was. And when I went on that inward journey to discover who I was, I really started to see a compassionate, kind, caring, beautiful lady. And what became so beautiful about it all is the more I worked on me, the more compassion I had for me, the less I cared about what anybody else thought, because it felt so good, that sense of freedom that you go, oh, this is what this feels like. If you just focus on you and you're living your life with good, pure intentions, man, life can be beautiful. But if you're just worrying about what everybody else thinks and you're focusing on everything that's wrong with you, well, then that's what becomes your focus, right? That becomes your reality. And we talk about energy in this. And when I started to do that inward journey, I had a client one day, he was with me maybe 2 weeks, and he said, I don't think I really like you very much. And the past me, Dr. Pat, I would have crumbled. And I would have been like, okay, well, what can I do different? Blah, blah, blah. I said, that's completely fine. We've got other coaches you can see. And he looked at me, he goes, that doesn't bother you very much? I said, nope. I have worked hard to get to where I am, and I really like myself, but you don't have to like me. And so there's other opportunities. He came in the week after. I was shocked, stayed with me. And he said, you know what? I realized about myself, I'm a bully. Nobody had ever reacted to him that way. So by my reaction to him, he had to look inward and reevaluate that, right? Because he chose to, thankfully. But and he's still with us today.
Yeah. What you're talking about is so important, because let's really get down to this idea of what you feel and where you put your energy, because what you did was a healthy boundary. And oh my gosh, we've been talking about this for at least a week, because there are people that show up, even in our business, they show up, and bully is a really good word. I hadn't thought about it. But they show up in ways where it wouldn't have mattered. It doesn't matter what you do, right? And so why not take care of yourself? See, that's the thing. That's a healthy boundary where you were able to take care of yourself, but also him too, right?
Right.
In a sense. What a great story. Steph, let's talk about where you place your energy. How important is that in understanding and getting to what that has looked like for you, where your energy goes? Now, look, you're the owner of this company, right? I mean, you obviously put your energy in a place that got you there, right? But that doesn't mean that every day doesn't present a little energy challenge.
Oh, definitely. There's days that you're going to be up and other people are like, oh my gosh, I had a client say, gosh, today I don't feel that great. And I'm like, not every day do you wake up feeling fantastic, but a lot of it is you build that within yourself by your own affirmations that you do, how you get up. And like Camille and I were talking, like sometimes I work from home. And she goes, how do you do that? And I'm like, well, part of it is just getting up and being my best self, showering, hair, makeup, the whole bit, and dressing, because then you look the part. Otherwise, if I'm going to lounge around in my pajamas and sweats all day, that's about as productive as I'm going to be. And not that everybody has to do the same thing, but that's what works for me. And if I take care of myself first during the day, get up, do my workout, my normal routine, it gives me the energy to attack the day. Like so many people will say, oh, I'm just not motivated to work out. I'm just not motivated to work from home. Well, sometimes motivation is second. You have to start with the action and it creates it. So once you get that energy going, it just keeps going. But if you do nothing all day long, that's pretty easy and you can stay in that mode. But once you get the ball rolling and it feels good at the end of the day to think of all these things I did and the lives you touched and all the people that you've helped. And I think, oh my gosh, every day I have to make impact fabulous because I'm responsible for other people's jobs.
Yeah.
And I want it to be great for them. And I want them to walk in this building and every client to say, I'm at the right place. And they often say that energy in our office at Impact just feels good. And I feel the same way.
You know, and part of this too is I want to talk about this when we come back from break. You know, part of this is understanding who you are and how to treat yourself as a priority. And so often we don't do that. I just really had a reflection this morning. I worked on a project almost all weekend, and I woke up this morning to kind of I put the finishing touches on it because I have a meeting on Wednesday, and I couldn't access the project. The server was down. It just was like, oh my God, the server's like, oopsie, it's not here. And so you have those moments, right? What's the message? You can choose in that moment what you're going to do. You can choose in that moment if you're going to completely come off the rails. But if you have the right tools, and I think that's what both of you are talking about, and that's what you teach.
Right.
If you have the right tools, or you have somebody you can work with, having a moment of anxiety over that, that's normal.
Oh, yeah.
Losing 20 hours of work, like that's a normal thing, right? But taking it to another level could derail your day, your week, your
Yeah.
life, your relationship. When we come back, what does turning inward mean? Before we go to break, how do people find out about you? How do they find out about Impact?
Okay, go to our website, yourimpactwellness.com. It's got all of our information about there, about our programs, about everything that we do. Our website isn't complete on the academy side, which is our kit, which is our weight loss, but the core of the information of the program is at yourimpactwellness.com. And you can email us and we'll get right back to you and set up a consultation.
And to top my morning off, I get an email from a representative from the country of China who wanted to register transformationtalkradio.com. And they asked me, do you approve of them doing that? I said, absolutely not. What? Let's take a short break. We'll be right back. Hey, everybody, welcome back to No More Rules. The host of this show, No More Rules, they are Stefani Yost, or Steph Yost, and Camille Barreto. They are sitting right there. You're looking at them. I get to have the honor of taking this journey with them in the launch of a fabulous show. And this is a show that is just amazing because, you know, what we're talking about today is, you know, people treat you exactly how they feel about you, right? And where did they get that from? You know, what's bouncing off of that? It's a fascinating discovery and a fascinating journey. Each of us has to look at it in multiple places of our lives. And we were just talking during a break about what both Steph and Camille are going to talk about now. And that's this, you must turn inward. I was sharing them today that I had worked on a project over the weekend, about 20 hours at least. And it, you know, has a deadline. And I went to look at the project this morning, and all I got was error, cannot locate, error, and over and over and over again. And I was just telling both of them that for a minute, I was just staring at the screen before I took a screenshot. But I jumped into action. And I want to tell you, what does jump into action mean? We'll talk about that in a minute, because there's an action you can jump into, right? That will help you. And then there's actions that you can jump into that will hurt you. Isn't that right, Steph and Camille?
Yeah. Totally.
Tell me how you start with self-awareness, you know, about this idea of being present.
Yeah, that going inward is essential. So for me, what's the importance of going inward? I had to get in touch with myself to understand where I wanted to spend my energy. So she's like a creative genius. That's where she loves to spend her energy. Mine is here. Like, I'm thinking really deep stuff and philosophical, and she's like, really? Like, you really think about that stuff? Yeah, but that's what gets me going. But the more I understood myself, when I say I am particular about where I spend my energy, I had to know I'm a feeler. And when something doesn't make me feel good, I'm a huge Abraham Hicks fan. I do their podcast every morning for about 10, 15 minutes to just feel light and lovely, get in alignment. And they made me very aware of, if something gives me fear or it doesn't feel good, you have a choice whether you're going to go there or not. So, like, I know some people think it's crazy, but energy is a frequency. It's an exchange of frequency that, like I told you, the news, I don't listen to it. Call me ignorant. I guess if the end of the world's coming, Dr. Pat, Steph, you guys make sure you call me and let me know.
Go ahead.
But it was bringing so much fear and anger in me that when I would come in the morning, I wasn't good for my clients. I wasn't good for anybody. And so that's just not where I'm going to spend my time. And some people are offended by where I'm going to put my energy and my time, because I think they sometimes think you should be more aware, but that's me. Let's honor everybody's ideas of where they're going to spend their energy. And I certainly have no opinion or judgment where my clients want to spend their energy. We talk about it, but if I feel chaos from them, I'll say, hey, you know what? We got to pull in and we got to decide where we're going to spend our energy, because it's not serving you. You're spending it on so many things outside of yourself versus going inward and going, okay, what can I control? What can I not control?
Yeah. It was so clear to me this morning. I couldn't control this. Well, first of all, let me back up. I don't know why I did this. And I don't think I brought this on myself, Steph. You're going to have to jump on this. I don't know why I did this. But when I made this agreement with the client to do this work, I said, look, we always do this work on our server environment, right? I've got Nick, I got the server, AWS, we always do it here because we can control it, we can back it up. And the individual was, no, we're going to put it on our server. I said, okay, kind of let that go, did what I needed to do, got things rolling. This was weeks ago. But I reached out to Nick and I said, I need 3 dummy domains set up, because there were 3 different projects. I said, I need 3 dummy domains set up. I saved 2 for this client, right? They're my domains, but I can build. And so Nick went ahead and did that. So when this happened I don't know why I did this. This is so weird. I'm even talking to you because over the weekend, I'm working on this project and I'm doing it over here in their environment. And then I'm building something over here simultaneously. You would think that's a waste of time. Like if Linda would have found that out. Linda's logical, triple Virgo. Why are you doing it? Right? Can you hear Linda? Can you hear me? Why are you doing it? I didn't know why I was doing it. I thought I was doing it because I was being more creative. This morning, after I stared for 60 seconds, now they're not exactly the same, so I got to do a little bit more work, but I'm not starting from scratch. But we have to go from self-awareness to mindfulness. And I think those 60 seconds, I just stared at the screen. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I wasn't crying or anything, but I think I could have. But I had that moment, you know, that moment where you're just stop.
Yeah.
That moment of stopping. What does that mean for each of you? You just stop.
I recently have learned that stopping is like where the change is. It's like, stop, take a deep breath. And then again, take a deep breath. Everything's going to be okay. I jokingly used to say quite often, nobody's going to die. And my ex-husband hated it. And I'm like, but it's the truth. We make such a big deal where it wrecks our day and it wrecks our spirit and everyone around us because we can't come back to baseline. So stop and breathe, reevaluate, and go. And I often say to people, like, how's that working for you? Like when clients come in and sabotage themselves, how's that working for you? Because we get in such this mode of this is how we do things. Why? Let's do it this way this time. Because obviously repeating the same thing isn't working.
And the power is in the pause, like you said.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
And breathe.
And I just knew, because we live in this world. You both know that. We live in the digital world. We live in the website world. We live in the server world. We have backups to backups. If the internet goes out during this show, we have a backup battery. But even besides that, we have a little device from Verizon. It's called a little jetpack. It runs off my cell phone. That thing kicks in and goes to data, right? I mean, they're just backups after backups. And I think that intuitively, that. Now, intuitively, we have to talk about this, because let's talk about it. I'm not talking intuitively. I'm talking about, there was a moment I trusted something inside of me, right? Whether it was over the weekend, putting this whole new duplicate thing up. And I kept asking myself, why are you doing that? I did. I had this moment, and I don't know if it was Saturday or Sunday, where I'm like, why are you doing that? You should focus on doing it here. But I kept doing them together. Talk about trusting your inner guidance system, because clearly that had to be going on for me. Clearly.
Yeah. Well, and as you're talking about it, I'm thinking, I think you're at a place in your life, Dr. Pat. It took me a while to trust that inner guidance system, that there's power in the pause, but you've got to learn the pause and practice it enough that you realize it truly works. And in the pause, it becomes about you, and you're not reactionary.
Yeah.
You are taking control of the situation and realizing, wow, I have more control over this than I ever thought. But you don't
Yeah.
find that out if you don't practice it. And that's part of our coaching, is reminding people, did you practice the pause? Did you take a deep breath?
Beautiful.
I love this part of coaching. And it's shifted for me, because I wasn't that way. And I knew stuff was like, Camille, you're not here to fix and save everybody. But when I start to ask people, what do you think? What do you think you should do? Well, you're the coach. Tell me what. No. Tell me, what do you think you should do? What feels right to you? And in that coaching of telling people, you start to trust you. Just pause and think about it. Sometimes it comes from talking it out, that they come up with their own answers. But as coaches, it is absolutely our mission and our ethical, genuine job to empower others, so that they don't feel like they have to rely on us for the rest of our lives.
Or rely on food to make them feel better.
Yeah.
Because that's so much of what we talk about all the time, is like, I have a client, I was talking to her, like, when you go that you need to comfort yourself, what is happening at that exact moment that you need to fix?
Yeah.
And that's where I said, let's redirect. Let's change your mindset. Let's go, why does this equal eating? Because then it starts that whole negative self-sabotage again. And then you feel bad that you ate the bad things. That we're trying to redirect and say, what else can you put your attention to, instead of going to food for comfort? Because it's not. You've got to find out what's really, what the truth is, and what's really there. And then go, most of the time what it comes back to is, whatever you're worrying about, it's not as big a deal as you thought.
Now, I love this. We're going to take a short break. Before we do, tell people how they can find out more about you, but also let's let folks know that this is a very important time of the year for people to really take a look. Not after the holidays. I've rarely been successful with big goals after the holidays that I didn't start before, or at least start intentionalizing on. But what is the best way for people to work with you? And tell them a little bit about that before we go to break, if you could.
You can go to our website, yourimpactwellness.com, and you can look at, like Steph said, all about our program, what we do here, what the basis is. And then you can contact us and set up a free consult, speak with one of the coaches, and just see if it's a good fit for you. So once again, it's yourimpactwellness.com.
All right, we're going to take a short break here. When we come back, what we're going to talk about is how to phrase this. What are you? How do you see yourself? If something breaks down, are you the failure? just happened to me last week. I heard somebody say this over and over and over again. Last time I did this, I failed. It was a failure. It failed. It was a failure. It was a failure. It failed. I can't even say that word. It's just like I'm feeling like I got to go get my laughing dog. Because see, I've got tools. I have a laughing dog. And I guarantee you, if I brought that laughing dog and I put him on here right now, you all would change whatever mood you had. Because you know why? I need a lot of tools. Let's take a short break. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Welcome back. This is No More Rules. I'm Dr. Pat. I get to really hang out and do this show with Steph and Camille. Again, before we get rolling here, because we're going to talk about now what, now what, because there is a now what. You got your inner guidance system. Oh, that's cool. Now what, right? It's the power of next. I showed a sign the other day. Where is my sign? Oh, I put it over there. I showed a sign the other day that I created with my friend Bobby Braden. Oh my gosh, how many years ago was that? It had to be in the 90s. And Bobby passed away. The desk I have in my office, she gifted me. But we walk around in this thing, and all of us have to have signs on what we believe in. And mine was the power of next. Now, before we go to that, you all understand the power of next is about action, right?
Mhm.
Let's give people your website again. Tell people what they can do now.
Okay.
Now.
Impact Wellness. We are about change. We are game changers. We are going to change your body. And when your body feels better, it's a lot easier to work on this. And sometimes you have to do it in the opposite. But you can find us at yourimpactwellness.com. We have a amazing wellness and weight loss program. We have an entire kit that you can get involved in, and you can do our weight loss program remotely. And it's all about clean eating. It's clean eating on steroids.
Yeah.
Because we're going to teach you that you're not just going to pick up something from the store that says natural and believe it.
Yeah.
Because you can put anything on there. You can say anything about yourself, but who you are day in and day out, and who you show up to be in your own mirror, as well as in front of everybody else, and having the conviction of knowing how good you feel when you eat right, that you can think clearer and sleep better and have more energy to put that motivation, really put that motivation into action.
Right.
But our whole program, you can find at yourimpactwellness.com. We're going to be your coaches. You sign up for our program, we're going to be your coaches. We're going to Zoom with you every week. We have accountability. Our kit is fabulous. We'll show that again. But we are so excited to be able to offer our program to people that live outside of central Nebraska.
Oh my God. I love this because I know I always prep for shows on Sunday. I mean, I don't wake up Monday morning and say, oh, what am I going to do? Right. I learned that years ago. So I think it's directly related because somehow yesterday, I worked a lot this weekend. It's a really important project. And what did I do? I said, oh, I think I'm going to make some soup out of nowhere. Because something rubs off on you, even if I look at the outline for today, even if I zoom in on the energy of today's show and what it's calling for, our subconscious mind is smart. It will take us down a path we don't want to go, and it will take us down a path that we do want to go. And this is what you are just talking about, because now let's get to the I am, because when we step into the I am, and I just, each of us listen, you did Esther and Jerry Hicks. I listened to my guy this morning, and man, was he on fire about this. I don't know what happened to him over the weekend, but this was his Sunday message. And he was just all about, I am powerful. And I'm like, okay, if it's that easy, why don't we do it all the time? What do you think about the I am, ladies?
I think it has to be a very intentional practice. Just like picking foods. We have to quit living this life and reacting to it and make a choice that we're the creators ultimately, and start stepping up and going, I'm going to be intentional about my thoughts, my words, my actions, and quit just reacting to everyday life. And in that experience, so when clients are doing our program, there's a lot of really wonderful books that we love, that we suggest a lot. Show them some of your books that you like.
I just recently started reading this book, A Map to Your Soul, and it's a combination of astrology and psychology. But that's where I was really reading about saying, I am powerful, I am dedicated, and saying all these great things about yourself. And then you start living up to them, because I like to think I'm dedicated, but there's times I don't feel like doing the things I should do. But as soon as you do them, you're like, yeah. And that dedication gives you your power and gives you all those things. Is that your I am list?
I'm telling you, like, people think that we just talk this stuff and we
No.
don't do it.
Yeah.
This.
Yep.
I got, right?
You can
It
design your life
works.
what you tell yourself.
It works.
It worked.
Okay. All right. We're going to do a little bit of it, and then we're going to get on to talking about a list of 20 things you really like about yourself. But we
Okay.
got, if you don't start with something like this, it is really hard to get from whatever is in front of you. The milk the kids spill the milk. I don't know. The dog decides not going to go out, but he's going to use your rug as the bathroom, whatever that is for y'all today. We know that it takes extraordinary practice to go from that kind of morning to just being all happy. So we're going to talk about the 20 things you really like about yourself. But when you have a tool like this one, this is for me, and I do this 3 times. I have to do it 3 times because the first time I think I'm a fake, so I got to do it again. And it starts out, I am blessed, I am well able, I am successful, I am victorious, I am talented, I am creative, I am wise. This was hard for me to do initially.
Yeah.
Right? It was hard.
Yeah.
Now, what about the 20 things?
It's a great activity for our clients. And actually, the lady who gave us your name with the Transformation Network, Christy Peterson, she's an incredible psychic medium. And she's very empowering. One of the things that she told us is write a list of the 20 things that you really love about yourself. So Steph and I, you tell us to do something, we put it into practice. And we've begun doing that with our clients, because so many times our clients come in and all they can see is, I'm obese, or I'm fat.
Yeah.
I'm not motivated, looking at all the things wrong with themselves. And when we have people do that list and come back in and start reading it, what 20 things you really like about yourself, because you've spent so much energy and time on all the things that are wrong with you. When you start to go to that place of criticism, judgment, self-doubt, pull that list out, which they keep in their journal. This is who you really are. And just like you, Dr. Pat, our clients, I've had some, they can't even do it in a week. And the other rule is, I will say, you can search for 2 of the answers from family or friends, but the rest belongs to you if you have a hard time with it. But we spend so much time criticizing and judging ourselves. And a big mantra here is, if you wouldn't say it to your 3-year-old self, don't say it to your adult self.
Yeah.
We have to start being compassionate and kind. And when you place your focus on everything that's right about you, that's the biggest game changer, I would say, for our clients.
Because then those little blips during the day when something doesn't go right, it doesn't floor you and take you back to ground zero. You're like, just going to roll with it, because I am strong, I am powerful, I'm smart, and I am worthy, and I'm adored, and everything else. Those little things don't trigger you then. And you can go, this too shall pass.
You know what? I think the most beautiful thing that comes out of it, as she's sitting there saying that, is the more I realize that about myself, the easier I can see that about others. So when people are sitting in front of us, because we love and adore ourselves, we see our amazingness, that's all we see, the reflection in the mirror from the client. That I will just be sitting there sometimes and just going, I just love them. They're so amazing.
Exactly.
But I couldn't see that in other people until I saw that in me, and what a change that could be
Yeah.
for the world.
It is an enormous change. And that's why we started talking about this by taking an introspective look, looking at ourselves. It's interesting on a day we're doing a show like this. It's, a few of these things show up. Everything from it snowing here, which causes a whole different scenario in the Pacific Northwest. But, thank goodness Colton, I got in, I don't know, 6:30 to run the first show at 7:00. And that's an enormous relief. And Colton, thank you for that. It's enormous relief, to watch a producer who's fairly new with us, right? And say, I trust him to do that, and be able to go to bed last night and sleep and know that Colton would show up and do this today. And that is an enormous belief. And so part of this is we have to also trust ourselves. Clearly, my day and where I work today is different than I planned. Don't we also have to be flexible when life just does not turn out the way we think it's going to turn out? And don't let me talk about my toe biopsy, okay?
Oh, Dr. Pat.
But we have to be flexible and still trust, don't we? I mean, I can't believe that you two kind of made it here on the slide, the glide and slide of life. I mean, you start a business, you change careers, you had to hit some potholes, but it isn't the potholes that really bring us down, is how we react to them, right?
It's like when you were talking about failure earlier. I was talking to someone the other day. I was like, fail forward and use what you learned from, if it truly is a mistake, it might just be like, hey, something's better for you, is to use that as fuel and motivation to find out what's your next and what's better for you. Fail forward always, and don't look at it as a failure. Like, nope, that was just part of the journey. And like, what am I supposed to learn from this? Every experience in life, what am I supposed to learn from this? So even people, when they're doing our weight loss program and they have a off day, instead of having the theory of, oh, the hell with it, and they throw their whole program out and every day they start eating crap again, it's like, no, it was just off day. Get back on track. And that's what truly says who you are, is how you pick yourself up and how you move forward. So we allow people with our program, like, hey, if you're going to be off for an hour and then clean it up, get it together, because otherwise you start to go down the hell with it mode. And it is a true theory, but you have to be able to look at life, not only your eating habits and your things that you might have been off track on, but how you correct it says who you are. And that's what we're teaching. And that's what we're doing every single day in our own lives. It's not like we're perfect and never have an off meal or do anything like that. We just go, that's a treat.
We're just the comeback kids. We're great at the comeback.
But what you're talking about is what we call a throwing in the towel. I call it throwing in the towel syndrome. And if you know that expression, I grew up around the boxing. Let's just call it boxing. My uncles were very big in boxing. That's why I got boxing gloves at age 5, like real ones. So I grew up around a lot of those metaphors. But I never really understood what throwing in the towel meant until I saw it. And, what that really means is you are literally on the mat. You are not getting up. There's a 10 count, a 12 count. I don't care what the count is. You are not getting up, right? It's just not going to happen. And this weekend, there's a football team that did something unprecedented.
Okay.
You're gonna have to tell us about it.
They are not the Seattle Seahawks. They're the Minnesota Vikings. And people are saying their comeback was the greatest in history. What was going on inside of these players? Some people say it was the coach. They're saying that about the Giants now. Everybody's big football surprises, right? Maybe not. But what could have happened with an individual and an entire team to have what people are calling the greatest comeback in the history of the sport? Do you see what I'm saying? You see, that is the energy we want. Now, let me say this. this failure person, just to finish the story, that doesn't sit well with Jessica, especially if they're talking about a show. So what does Jessica do? She goes in, and it must have taken her forever to get the statistics on, in your short time, how many downloads you had. Do you know what the number was we found for this failure in less than a year? Not even 60,000 downloads. That doesn't even include any of the affiliates at all. Doesn't include any of the distribution centers where all your shows are now going. But it's so easy to throw that word around, and that becomes the predictor for what you're about to do next. That's what we're going to talk about now. Because if we let things like that to predict our future, the power of next, we are going to continue to eat the entire apple pie or whatever that is you like. I'm an ice cream freak, so that just be me. And of course, what is the ice cream? You get the one your dad used to eat, the strawberry one. Okay. So that's how you know you're really having a deep dive into some past emotional crap. But let's talk about the action we live, the life with intention, and let's have people get on track with how we react. Who wants to go first with that?
Well, I think another resource that I use a lot with clients is this book, that You Are a Badass.
Yes.
And it's great. You could just pick it up and open one chapter. And I just opened a page and it says, love yourself. And your life becomes a party. That's the page I just opened to. Is that so true of what we're talking about, of how you treat yourself? Love yourself, and then your life. It doesn't matter if your life, if you are rich or poor or have all these things, but your love for yourself becomes your life. And then everything you do, even at your low points, maybe aren't that bad. You realize it's going to get better. But setting those goals and taking care of yourself and loving yourself is the transition that makes your life a party. And it doesn't have to be a party for anyone else. It just has to be for you, that you love it and that you take care of it and honor it. Because so much of the time we make promises to ourselves that I'm going to start working out 5 days a week and I'm going to eat clean 100% of the time. Well, it's probably not going to happen. So when we're helping people set goals, we'll say, let's say you're going to start out, you're going to work out 2 times a week. Because if you say you're going to work out 7 days a week and you don't, you're going to say, oops, I failed, and you're going to quit. What if all you do is show up at the gym and you don't even work out? You just go there. Start creating those habits. Start meal prepping. And if you're only meal prep 3 pieces of celery, then that's a good start. But the next week, do more. And then it snowballs. Just like bad things also snowball when we do nothing. It just continues to get worse. But you have to be able to look back and remember that you're a badass and believe it and start living it. Just jump in and do it. It's fun.
I love that we're talking about this, because you know, you're right. We come up with these incredibly lofty goals, and all it takes is one action in that direction. Just takes one to get the thing started, right? You know, it's that one thing that you realize, well, I have now moved my fit gym into my living room. Okay, so that's one thing. Oh, wait a minute. Now I move this other elliptical thing that's not even an elliptical. Now it's in there too. Why? Because now they're both in a room that's easy to access. I don't have to put them away. They're in my front room. They're not in the way of anybody. There's beautiful light, right? And now they're there. So what does it take to actually get on them? It's the idea that I'm not Arnold Schwarzenegger. Better yet, I'm not The Rock. I could be, but not today. My goals are to do exactly what they do every day, but we have different goals for those guys, right? You want to be in great shape. You want to be able to feel good. Eating clean. You feel good, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It all comes down to how you feel.
There you
And if
go.
it goes back to that,
There
we
you
ask
go.
people all the time, like, how does that make you feel? Does it feel good? Do the people around you that you're hanging out with feel good? And that goes back to how people treat you is exactly how they feel about you.
Mhm.
So if you're around someone who can't get away from you fast enough, that means they're not your people. If
Yeah.
you eat something that instantly makes you feel bloated and yuck, that's not your food. So feel how you feel and sit in it for a little bit. So it's in that weeds and in the yuck of sometimes
Mhm.
feeling bad that is your greatest strength. And the change that can be like, why would I intentionally poison myself? Why would I put myself around these people who don't love me back? I had a client give me a t-shirt that says, if I'm too much, go find less. And you know what? It's so true. If I'm too much for you, I'm not your people.
Yeah.
And I'm going to continue being me and loving myself, and I'll find my tribe.
Yeah.
And it'll come to me.
That's what we're talking about. We have to have, I mean, to recap, let's just go recap for a minute, because what we're talking about and the way you both have laid this out is beautiful, because it really shows a process, right? It shows the first thing that we're doing is you got to organize your energy. You got to take a look at where you're putting yourself. If you're putting yourself in places, A, you don't want to be, and there are some places we have to be. I mean, there's
Sure.
some situations, they're unavoidable, can't avoid. But take a look at things. And then how do you feel about yourself? Well, how connected is that to how we treat ourselves?
Right.
Right? If I don't feel good about myself, am I going to treat myself good? And then
Mhm.
people pick up on that. They know that. You know, the thing that I love about this is you took something that people see so physically outward, like diet and weight loss. People,
Yep.
that's like an outward thing. But
Yep.
your process and the way you work with people is you get underneath what's going on the inside. You know,
Yes.
you get underneath that, you turn inward. But the part that a lot of programs don't get to is what you both talked about today. You help people trust their inner guidance system. Do you see what I'm saying? You see,
Mhm.
if you hadn't brought that up, it would have been a big gap. Because if we could just trust ourselves, even for the 60 seconds I stared at the screen today and then pulled out my little list and my laughing dog,
Yeah.
it is very hard to get to the rest. But isn't that the coaching you do?
Yeah, because I think sometimes it all seems so overwhelming, and to have a coach and that accountability and somebody to guide them in the baby steps so that they can start to go, I am feeling better. I do have more energy. I am making different choices. And I have an accountability partner who's supporting me in this journey, because sometimes our spouses, our family doesn't necessarily like the changes that are taking place. That you got to have that tribe and that person in your corner, and we're that person that so many people are like, how are you guys just so bright and shiny all the time? Hey, this took time. It was baby steps, intentional baby steps to get to where we are. But that accountability is what we give them. And I'm so glad you brought that up, because this isn't another diet. If all we were focusing on was the food and what you can have and what you can't have, and you're not doing the deep internal journey, it's just going to be another diet.
Yeah. Yeah. And we all know how that turns out. Look, thank you so much. I'm excited for No More Rules. Are you
Yeah,
both excited?
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you for taking the time to do this. Thank you for bringing this message out now. You know, I know it's important to get this message out before the holidays, right? Because there are things we can do now. I don't think any of us are saying, okay, don't eat that cookie. We're not saying that. You know,
Right.
we might be saying,
Actually, I am.
don't eat the box.
Actually,
If you're
don't.
gonna eat the box of cookie, eat them over a month. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not the expert you are. I want to ask each of you again, please remind people, and I'd love to know your personal message, what you'd like to leave us with today.
Okay, you can find us at yourimpactwellness.com. That's our website. You can call in as well. The number's on our website, but go to yourimpactwellness.com. And I guess my message that I would want to leave everybody with is make the choice that actually serves you. That when you lay down at night, that you're like, I rocked it today. And think about that throughout the day instead of laying down with regret and with this body that's full of inflammation and just the circle that we create. It's like, just stop the pattern and go, I'm just going to do things that feel good today. If it's the people you're around, if it's the food you're putting in your mouth, if it's the thoughts that you're putting in your mind, but really just do it for a few days and you're going to go, this is really nice to lay down at night and go, I'm not mad at myself for saying that comment to somebody or eating the bad food or not working out. Just do the thing. It's really important.
And my message is kind of short, sweet, simple. I came across this post that said, my love language is showing you how powerful you are.
That's good.
It really is. It's all we do each day, showing people you really are in more control of this than you've ever been led to believe. You are powerful. You are amazing. Just like pick up the phone, type it out, like schedule a consult with us. Check it out. It's worth it. But if there's nothing else that we're giving people is belief in themselves.
Yeah.
Absolutely, that they can do this.
I want to leave everybody with this. Most of us have tried to do it alone. My sister tried. That didn't work. She ended up dead on a hospital floor at close to 400. I think it was bigger than that, 450 pounds. This is not a journey that you didn't develop everything we're talking about overnight. And it will take some help. Please, if you can, please reach out and know that you are with someone, that they will be able to help you. You don't have to take this journey alone. This is one thing you don't have to do alone. Thank you both very much for today.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Colton. Thank you all for the best audience on the planet, and more to come from No More Rules. We'll see you next time.
Thank you for listening to No More Rules, the impact of being you, no matter what. Tune in live the first and third Monday of every month at 8 a.m. Pacific on TransformationTalkRadio.com. Join the movement to awaken your inner power and be the creator of your own healthy life with hosts Stefani Yost and Camille Barreto, where clean eating is at the core of our inner growth by honoring our body and health. They help shift perceptions, encourage thinking outside the box, and overcoming limiting behaviors and beliefs. You are worthy of living your best life, developing your inner power with clean eating and a healthy lifestyle, discovering your awesomeness. To find out more about Steph and Camille's wellness and weight loss coaching, visit yourimpactwellness.com today and schedule a consultation.